introduce the board. Rick Green, Chairman of the Conservation Commission. This is recorded, by the way, for your, just so you know what's happening.
Brian Larchelle, member.
Tom Larson, member.
Rich Fabian, member.
Tony Capola, member.
Oh, I am Patricia Lowe, and I am their admin.
All right, we're going to skip the minutes. We'll look at them next time. Let's see, we have two public hearings tonight. The first public hearing is for Josh Therian and 4 Mayo Road. And I'm gonna turn this over to Tom Larson, because I'm a butter, and will recuse myself.
Okay, so do I hear a motion to open?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Here.
Okay. With the motion being made, Josh, would you like to come up, or your representative?
Yeah, I have Mark Popham here with me and myself.
Good evening. Josh hired me to prepare a site plan for the, what was basically at that point in process, permitted by way of the building department, construction of a barn and garage on his existing property at 4 Mayo Road. And at that point, there was excavation completed within the buffer zone to accommodate footings for that building, with some tree removal very close to that foundation, and a minor amount of earthwork associated with construction within a few feet of, basically about 6 to 8 feet within the corners of that proposed or in-process structure. So I prepared, at his request, a site plan showing that portion of the site, delineation of wetland features, which include, there's a bordering vegetated wetland along a portion of an intermittent brook, and then the inland bank associated with that intermittent brook below a filled stone feature that apparently was some kind of irrigation or watering pond for livestock or something at some point historically. So below that point, the feature becomes strictly a brook with negligible vegetated wetland associated with it. The structure that was underway is located within the buffer zone to those features, and accordingly a wetlands determination of applicability was prepared at his request in order to try to get the in-process activity back off kilter with you folks. That seemed to be, in my opinion as well, a way to get this resolved without having to go through a process that actually looks toward a proposed activity. This one was already underway and permitted. He had a building permit, and it seemed to be an adjunct to other activity that's occurred within the buffer zone there over the last few years associated with the construction of the house and driveway and so forth that's already there. So that's what's been presented here. The silt fence that's shown on the plan, the majority of it pretty much in this orientation that's shown on the accompanying plan with the RDA is actually in place at this point. And the exposed earth in the area of clearing has been essentially stable for months, even with all the rainfall we've had. It doesn't appear, in my opinion, to be any erosion beyond that silt fence line.
Okay, so I believe as the commission we understood exactly what you said. There was a breakdown. Well, let's back up. We believe it's been fixed, so typically in the past, what's happened is, before you can get a building permit, every associated group has to sign off on it. Board of Health, Conservation Commission, so forth and so on. That did not happen. That's not the your client's cause. He was issued a building permit. With the amount of laws they have now, I did look up online, the federal government cannot count the number of laws they have because it changes so often. So for a homeowner to understand or even know everything that's affected, I think that's tough. So what we've been told, the town has made adjustments, so this won't happen again. So at least my belief is that we asked that the silt fence and hay bales be put up the last time your client was at the meeting, and that's been done. So I believe he's following everything that was asked of him. So I think, obviously, the board's gonna vote on what they believe, but I think right now, the least possible damage would be just to have him complete it, backfill it, and move on.
Rich, when you through with that, and I said,
And I would suggest that the plan does call in the notations for any disturbed areas once the building is complete to be loaned and seeded or otherwise stabilized. You know, and with the wooded perimeter there, perhaps bark mulch or wood chip mulch would make sense. So in order to to close the process, my recommendation or request on his behalf would be to issue a negative determination with a condition that the remainder of activity is shown on that plan be completed. That way it keeps, it makes sure that when the spring season and the summer season is done, that you can go there and see that he's finished the work.
All right, so let's put it to the commission. Does anybody have any comments? Does anybody wanna see anything different than what Mark has come up with for a solution?
No, I think the solution makes sense. I think it's unfortunate the way it all played out with the building permit. I do wanna go on the record saying that I think this sets a kind of precedent that I don't know if we wanna follow. You know, someone could go and do some work without our approval and then just after the fact file for an RDA, which is not the proper procedure. So I just wanna put that on record saying that I'm concerned about that. I think at this point, it doesn't necessarily make sense to give them a positive determination to then file and do an NOI. So I hear your logic and I guess I agree with that.
No, I agree with yours too. We don't wanna open up Pandora's box, but I think we've been assured by the town, and he did have a building permit, so he was going down the right road. Rich?
What you were saying there?
Yeah. Tony?
It's all right by me.
Okay.
Public comment?
Public comment.
Anybody here wanna make a?
Why was he able to get a building permit without that being
So
done?
typically what happens.
Between DCR or somebody, that
So-
should have been.
Correct. So
Correct.
that's not in our compass.
I know,
So
but
what?
it is in the towns.
Correct.
So what happens when someone fills out a permit application in OpenGov? It's weird, it triggers conservation for the strangest things. I'll get things for
Well, the
air
whole
sealing.
area is right near the
or-
wetlands, so it
yeah,
should be,
so-
that should have popped right away.
Right, so we usually I'll get a notification, hey, this building permit has come through, and it alerts me conservation is needed. It is also when our building inspector does tell people when they submit site plans that they need to be annotated for literally everything, wetlands, this, that, and 20 other things, so that when he looks at it, sometimes he'll say, oh, you know, this is there. But the problem with OpenGov is it does have bugs. We love technology until it doesn't work the correct way. So
Well,
for in
that's,
this
you know,
case,
It's a
it
pain in
did-
the butt to get a permit in this town, so.
So, it is something that we are currently working on to make sure that maybe, hey, if every building permit has to come through me first, it's just the way it is. So, to keep something like this from happening in the future, it's just OpenGov is very wonky. It works great when it wants to work, but sometimes it doesn't always work the way we want it to.
And the permit was stopped very quickly.
Yes, no, when the building inspector went out, to do his inspection, when he saw where the shed was right away, he said, nope, you need to call conservation, and Josh called me the same
After the hole was
day.
dug and the forms are in?
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty late.
Were the
Well,
forms in, or just the hole was
Just
dug?
the hole.
Last time.
No, there's forms in there.
Just the hole was
The
dug.
wooden forms are
There's
in
forms
right
in
now,
there.
but nothing's poured.
Well, footing
Yeah.
forms.
Yeah, that's when.
A few planks were in,
That's when the
not
building
forms
commissioner
per se.
had requested from him.
Well, the footings start with the forms.
Yes, they do, I agree.
He was gonna stop building anyways.
When was the permit issued? Do you know? Josh?
Josh, was it?
I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't,
I wanna say it was like,
I think it was actually right.
September.
Yeah, it was before my time.
Right.
It was in that interim between Mark leaving and me coming in November.
Yeah, and the building commissioner told me to call him after the footings were,
Right.
footings were.
Right.
When the footings were in, or when you were formed for the footings?
The forms, sorry.
When was the silt fence put in?
Prior to everything, I would hope, no?
No, because
then
he,
afterwards.
he
Oh, okay.
didn't know about,
He was here
Okay.
It was put
So
in
as soon as-
after our last
All right, the
meeting.
permit was given before we even knew that this was happening, which
Right.
should not have happened.
right, exactly.
Cause when he was here at our last meeting, he told him, put the siltation fence in.
August 23rd.
August 23rd, okay.
And was that a permit applied for by the resident, or was it by a builder?
In this case, Mr. Therian is both. He is the owner and the builder.
And the builder doesn't realize that you can't build in wetlands?
Oh.
That's pretty brazen.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old and I've never.
No,
Oh, well, okay, then you can do it again.
You completely I'm not, like, I can learn, right?
Right.
No.
We've all learned.
No.
I learned the right way.
I-
I did not do anything.
I
that
went the
would-
right
I
way.
would be,
When the
yeah.
house came up, that road.
You guys can say what you want.
So I have a
question
for the board.
Why?
When I first
Go
looked
ahead.
at that.
Go up close and
Oh,
out.
Oh, yeah.
Stand up for me and your name and your address,
Because
please.
John
And-
Marcoux,
1220,
the road.
they gotta look-
12
Mayo.
It's gonna
What
be
do you call it?
horrible.
Alright.
To the podium,
So then
sir.
Thank you.
the wetland
You're welcome.
engineer and the engineer come in and say, like, I live, blah, 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 blah,
Okay,
blah. And
your question
they
for the board.
override whatever
My
I say
question
unless
is-
I wanna take them to court, and we don't wanna do that. So
I'll wait till
that
it's
ended that.
Yeah.
So my question is, you are setting a precedence, and what is to stop me from doing the same thing?
So, the town assures us that what used to happen will happen again. Now, there's a time frame. I was, years ago, the chair of the Board of Health. So every time a building permit came in, had a checklist on it. And Board of Health, Conservation, everybody had to do a check off before you could get the building permit. Now, with the technology change and some possible glitches, what's happened is he was allowed to get a building permit without those checkoffs. So they've worked on plugging that so that that will not happen again, is what they're assuring us.
So right now as it stands, there's no way for anybody else to do the same thing.
Right now, as it stands, Duffy and I and the town administrator are working together to make sure that it does not happen again, and it might just be that building permits, are all of them that come in, doesn't matter what it's for, it's gonna have a conservation hold until I take a look at it. Like, conservation doesn't need to come out, if someone is replacing their countertops, obviously that is not a conservation issue.
Sure.
Or someone's getting their air ducts cleaned and sealed, that is not a conservation issue. But if it's something for, like, a new shed, a septic tank, or what have you, then,
It almost, I'm sorry to interrupt.
it's okay, go ahead.
It almost sounds like you think that it's gonna work better instead of, because right now you're telling me it may be to the point where they'll have to go through me for everything. How do we know that this isn't going to happen again?
Because Duffy was the one who caught it, the building inspector,
Mhm.
and he said that when he gets site plans from now on, if they are not, because the site plans have to go in the minute you apply for a
Mhm.
building permit. If the site plans do not have the wetlands annotated on the site plans, he is gonna give that person a call and say, I need certified site plans that have the wetlands annotated on them. If not, then maybe he goes out and takes a look at the land himself. Cause we don't wanna keep homeowners from the same thing, from building a deck on
Right.
their house or something like
Understood.
that. And a homeowner may not know the proper wetland procedures, so I've made
But
sure,
to argue the case,
yes,
we're not talking about just a homeowner, we're talking somebody that has done this for how many years?
I built one house in my life,
How long did it take you?
2 years,
When was that?
4 Mayo Road, 2 years ago.
That was your first house?
That was the first house I built.
What's your business?
I'm a property manager,
And you flip houses?
flip houses, never.
Yeah, so you know what you're doing.
Never, ever have I ever had to build something outside of my own house.
But you
which
still
is
had to pull a permit.
absolutely- Which is absolutely beautiful.
Still had to pull a permit.
But
And,
this,
it's
this,
going forward, yes, we're
Right,
working
so
on the
the-
bugs with the town administrator, and Duffy would be the best way, the less headache for everyone involved, and to make sure something like this doesn't keep happening or happens
Sure.
again.
this was a building inspector's issue though, more than was actually a conservation
Correct, we
issue.
were never notified.
We were never notified.
But
We
you
knew
are
nothing
now.
about it.
Correct.
But we know it now, and we're
Yeah, we
trying
know
to
it now.
remedy the situation as much as possible.
So we're just gonna let him go
Let him
ahead
do
and
it.
do it.
No, we stopped them.
But he's
And
doing it,
what
you're
do you
gonna
Well, he
continue to
stopped
carry on.
because we said, okay, now, it's been redrawn, it's been looked at. The building inspector evidently has seen it or will see it, and he'll accept what we come up with tonight and go from there, and he'll issue a permit for him to go forward.
Cause all the runoff over there is pretty sensitive area, as you're aware.
I'm very
I
aware.
watched you put the flags up, sir.
When the property first came up for him to build, I'm the one that came from the Conservation
I saw you.
Commission, and I said no to building,
Yeah.
because I didn't like the runoff that was coming from the road. I didn't like all of the new seeding and seedlings that I could see that had grown over a period of 5 years from little dwarfs to 4-foot saplings. So I said no. The wetland scientist was brought in. He said blah, 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 blah. It's okay to build. That overrides whatever I say.
Did the wetland scientist also say that he could destroy the whole rock wall that's abound, the town boundary? And all the trees that went with it?
Above and beyond.
Well, that,
You
just
know.
asking question out there.
That
Cause now the water really keeps going by, whereas before, he changed the grade. The road used to come down, used to drop down about 1.5 feet to that stone wall that was abound,
Mhm.
that you can't move. Can I go move my stone wall tomorrow?
Nope.
Well, he has, I called Mallory many times, what was, being disturbed and happening. You know what happened? Deaf ears. Cut down every tree, removed every stump, and all the evidence is gone. Go to Google Maps and you'll be surprised what you'll see. And the runoff that comes down the street is unbelievable.
Trees on his property.
Excuse me, trees on the outside of a stone wall of public property.
That's a different story.
All right, thank you, I'll rest my case.
If I finish
Pull up
my
Google Maps.
sentence, trees on the inside of the stone wall.
Cut 'em all down.
That's his property.
Cut 'em all down.
He could take them down.
Cut them all down.
We're not talking about
We're
that.
talking about trees on the roadway.
Which the town gave me approval for because it wasn't a.
I didn't see any permits on them.
I'm not done talking, because it's not a, what do they call it, I think a site road?
A
It's
scenic road
but
way.
that doesn't matter.
But it's not your
That's not your
property.
I'm not,
Alright, so let's stay in the bounds of conservation. There may be an issue outside of conservation, but we can only focus on what we're supposed to. So
I understand that, but if everything else is wrong, why are we gonna continue to let him do what he wants to do?
because he did get a permit. Now,
And you
you should,
overstepped that by not having conservation, the town botched it, and now look what you got.
Yeah.
What have you got? I mean, I don't know. You're
So-
supposed to
Ask
look
for
what you
so-
got.
forgiveness instead of permission.
so
Yeah.
what's gonna happen, what would have happened if he had gone through the correct procedure? Say, the town caught it, he didn't get the building permit, he would have done exactly what he's doing right now, we would have given him the permit to do that. So the end result is gonna be exactly the same. What we did, as soon as we found out, we put a stop on it. He put up the silt fence, we asked for the erosion controls to be put up. He did what we asked. So we're trying to correct a wrong. We're not allowing him to do anything he couldn't have done if he went through the channels. So, now, the other points you brought up that are outside of conservation, there might be validity to that. We don't oversee that, so we can't answer that.
The water runoff over there is a conservation concern. And that being that he has changed the grade of that whole land, put 8 feet of fill in there, graded it off right to the street at grade level, and the water just rolls right off his lawn,
That
right out
water
into the
runs up
street.
the road further.
Excuse me?
That water runs up the road further and down the road.
It comes from all over.
I know where it
Rich,
is,
you
I
know
work
it.
for highway, I've filled
I
in
know.
it a bunch of times, it's past his house, it's up the hill more.
Yeah, and it also
And so
comes,
that wouldn't have had anything to do with what he did there.
what he did there was basically put a dike in the thing that rolled off that allowed it to
The
go.
water's coming from up the road further down the road, is what you're trying to say, is the road's getting washed out because of that.
No.
And it's, the road's washing out up the road further, and a lot of it's because the road's deteriorating.
There's nothing to do with washing out the road. I'm talking about all the water that continues down the road now on the asphalt because he brought the grade up to the road height.
That
Whereas
was-
the road height was lower with the stone wall behind it by about 3.5 feet.
That water always came down that road
Right.
and onto that property.
I've lived
That
there for a
was,
few
that was
years.
my concern when I first looked at the property, was that the water was gonna come across, and I felt that down the road, the town was gonna have a problem with complaints about it. So that's why I initially said no to the building permit.
So here we are still with a water problem running off and not being able to go back into the land and perk the way it did for how many years before they put a house in there. The water, I've been in Mayo Road, number 5, since 2016. Never has the water run down like it does now, because it used to come off the asphalt, go down into the little gully there, and right up to the stone wall, and then continue out into that whole wet pasture.
And how about the house right aside of him, to the right-hand side of him? I mean, there was hundreds of yards of fill brought in there just as
It's
well.
a bit higher.
It's a bit higher.
Yeah.
Well, because they built it up high. I mean, I watched the fill come in there.
I watched the fill too.
I even talked with the excavator on the machine. He said, boy, I just hope we're bringing in enough material. I mean, so all
It's
of that
still a
area
lane
is a
basic
questionable
between
area.
the two, yes, it's still a swale.
Yeah,
That gains water
you're
for sure.
absolutely right.
Yeah.
So nothing we've done or said has changed the swale.
Something, but you have done something tonight to prevent this to happen again.
Correct.
Yes, correct. The procedures being put in place to keep this from happening again.
Just make a
Do you know what he's
point,
doing?
Clem,
Big
that,
of, you have the site?
you know, that it's interesting, but if you see a plan, like Josh's plan for the house, there's no, most times, in fact, I'm pretty sure in this case, it shows a house going in a certain location. There's no discussion about, we're gonna raise the grade 8 feet or something like that. So it's like,
It should be on a site plan,
you know, I don't know, maybe it was, but it's not something that,
you know, the grades, how they come
You
in,
know,
what
and
they
it-
trace
That's right,
it
the
together.
grades
It's
are
like-
on
Yeah.
plans, that's
It's gonna be on.
correct.
yeah, I suppose, okay. So I stand corrected, and so we would have to, the collective, we would have to be cognizant of the grade going up, and how are you gonna make the DPW, and how are you gonna make the road, the drainage the same, or are we gonna put a culvert in or something, but that's rarely ever done, you know, to that depth of analysis on a house plan.
I don't think
Right,
what
so
he's
I
done
think-
on his property has changed what's happening with the water, with the runoff. I think if anybody's gonna end up having trouble with it all, I think it's him in the future.
Absolutely. Yes, but
I mean, that's the way I seen it from the beginning.
that's true, but you're saying I think,
Well,
right? So we don't know.
But with this all
unless-
being said, with that big pond that's been created between the two properties, and somebody decides they're gonna put a pump it right into the street with no siltation, no anything, and it doesn't perk into the ground, but it runs right down the street,
Yeah.
right into the wetlands, and everybody on the other end of Hale Road, that's their well, that's their aquifer. You
But
can't
they
just
can't
put
pump
that
it.
into a wetlands like that.
They can't pump it into the street, cause if you
Well,
pump
they
it into
have
the
many
street,
times.
then-
Yep.
And
Yeah,
then
we
if you
can-
go down
all
there
these
any other
storms-
time,
Go down there right after a storm when that's
Yep.
full, and there's a sump pump pumping it into the road.
Putting it in,
Right out.
comes right down the street and goes in our pond.
in the big cities, you know, they make them put Cultec units in. You guys know about Cultec units. This young man, I'm sure does. He's shaking his head, yes. Okay? You need to recharge the ground with the water, or it's collected off your roof, and it doesn't go and shed off onto your neighbors. That water was within 2 inches of his neighbor's cellar, walkout basement.
Yeah. And they pump, and he pumps. And I don't want his water problem to be my water problem, which is our pond.
But that's not the same place.
So,
This
comes
is down
down.
towards the end.
I think we're
That's
getting a
his
little off
place.
track.
You're in the wrong spot.
Right now, alls we're talking about is just where the garage is.
You got the White House down at the end almost, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the wrong spot. This isn't even near your house.
His house is
His house
between the
is down the
two.
other end.
No.
Yeah.
We're at 5 Mayo.
He's across the road.
He's at
Across the
4
street.
Mayo.
He's across the road.
He's at 4
Oh,
Mayo.
I thought he was I thought this was way down the other end.
No.
It's as
Mine's
soon as
White
you turn
House.
onto the road.
Yours is like right when you first.
Mine's
Wrong
right
end
at
of the
entry
road.
of Mayo Road.
Yeah,
Oh,
right in
okay,
the
I was
beginning.
thinking it was down the other end of the road down there. Okay, I'm in the wrong area. So he is at the bottom.
Right.
Can I say one more thing on
Sure.
his behalf? I actually precede him on the involvement with this property. In 2019, there was a family who was going to build their dream house there. Their last name was Pickett. They bought 2 of these A&R lots that were created a bunch of years ago, before probably any of us were sitting here. And so he started with two of these lots. And the soil testing was also done originally in the past to be able to determine that there could be that number of lots on that road. So the Picketts had hired me to prepare a wetland filing, which was a request for determination for the site plan for the activity of building the house and the driveway and the septic. And pretty much all the area of disturbance that's shown, that he eventually, when he bought the land, carried forward that plan that was originally done in 2019. So the site engineering, Josh didn't come in and just throw up a house. There had been a permit process involving, you know, all the departments and boards. It was initiated by the prior owner, and then he bought the property, basically completed the activity that was already authorized for the most part that you see there. So I'm trying to get back to the focus of what has happened and the process that has been followed by him so far, and try to finish his business. Some of the other issues there predate his activity on this spot, but I wanted to make it clear because I've been involved in looking at this property for some time, that there was activity and plans put forward that predate everything we're talking about here now.
I have a
And it's in the somewhere. I know you guys have gone to a electronic system, but.
It is in Laserfiche, if anyone wanted to take a look at that, it's in the public
I do have
portal.
a question for you.
Sure.
During that time, how was environmental involved, or what did they give you for their synopsis of the build?
He was at that, I don't know if it was the Pickett's at that point or Josh, and I don't know if you can clarify it, Josh, but there was, I did a wetland filing package for the Pickett's, septic plan design, and then they were going to proceed with the building permit application process.
So
Totality.
if you're going back to the Pickett's, then it wasn't really an issue because it hadn't come to that point, is that?
No, what I'm saying is that all the aspects were looked at, including the wetlands on the property or in adjacent to the property, the orientation of the driveway, I mean, all that detail. I don't think it's fair to have anyone in this room think that Josh just went ahead and threw up a house and a driveway and a septic system. It was all engineered.
Right.
And it was
And
approved by the town, yeah, and various entities in the town authorized that activity.
So what we're talking about today is just the garage. That's the only part, so thank you for that. Everything else has been all engineered. And if it had worked the way I said, if he had followed all the channels as far as if the building inspector said you have to go to conservation, would probably be at the same exact point.
Could you inform us, like, what is he building and some of the specs on it? What is it?
I can send you the plans, but Josh is
No.
constructing a 2-bay.
Yeah,
It's got like
it's a-
two bays to it, kind of.
It's a 24 by 24 two-story like shed garage. My main intention is to be able to like store a lot of my like landscape tools and stuff that's actually stored in my garage now, so I can use my actual garage.
Will there be any plumbing, no living
No plumbing.
spaces?
There'll just be a little power run to it.
No, sure, yeah.
No plumbing.
Is there a difference between a shed and a garage as far as the board is concerned or anybody?
Yeah, 24 by 24.
Building inspector, maybe, not us.
Okay.
Doesn't show a locus plan.
Apparently, the term shed is widely,
Okay.
so many
Yeah,
different
it's-
people,
right,
so
definition
even
of a shed.
entities have
Yeah,
a different
driveway,
definition
Yeah,
of what a shed is,
and a
and no one
certain-
could give me a straight answer.
Certain size shed you can build without a permit.
This will be
Oh,
taxed.
okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so that would be considered a shed, and then it turns into something else after a
Yes.
certain dimension.
A certain dimension,
A
yeah.
greenhouse you can build without a permit, I don't know what the dimensions are for a shed that you can build without a permit, but there is a dimension.
Okay, any other comments? Do I hear a motion that we follow what Mark suggested?
I'll make a motion that we follow.
That's second.
Can I just clarify
Sure.
that includes the conditions, our standard conditions, and including the plan that was prepared?
Correct.
Make
One
that
more
amendment.
question quickly. Has it all been surveyed?
Yep.
Wow.
It's nice.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right.
Okay, do I have a motion that we close the hearing?
Make a motion to close the hearing.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just show you that.
Next order of business is, another public hearing, like, for determination of applicability, no, excuse me, for notice of intent for Philip Martin at, 193. With,
I don't know if we might get chicken.
Quick, I'm only recusing myself. That makes it bigger than 24 by 5 player.
Well,
No, the footings are fine.
well, yeah, I know you put
Really?
your shed on it.
is that?
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, board.
Your name one more time.
See you guys.
Clem.
I'm a
Okay.
5 man.
I'm Ryan Goffin from New England Environmental Design.
Okay, I'm sorry. Do I hear a motion to open the?
I'll make a motion, Will.
Okay, second. All right, please proceed.
All right, I'm sorry. I'm Ryan Goffin from New England Environmental Design. I'm presenting the notice of intent application for the property. What it is for is a septic repair. The existing system's failed. The only place that we have to put it is behind the house. We have it located outside the 50-foot buffer, but we are within the 100-foot. The closest place of disturbance is about 44 feet from the actual wetland, which is a brook down at the bottom of the hill. There's no real wetlands associated with it. It's kind of like right along the edge of the
Yeah,
brook.
we went up and inspected.
Did you?
it, so
All right,
yeah, so
perfect.
I'm aware of it.
Because of the location of the well and everything is kind of where we have to put it where it is. We're right even with the septic that's adjacent to it. So, I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it looked like there was no other choice.
Yeah.
What you did.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess, unless there's any questions or whatever, that's all I have to say.
Looked at it.
Any questions?
Not really. It looked like a good drawing for the septic system. And there just was no place else to put it. So either you said no, or you pretty much said yes.
I mean, right now, there's a cesspool, it's probably been there for like 100 and something years.
Yeah, it's an old leaching pit, but it's up near the house. It's too close to the well where it is.
Right.
Couldn't keep it over there.
It's been there since the beginning of time.
Right.
Now it's a large system, it's all gravel down there too, so I mean, it's like 25 times better than it was the last 100 years.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right, well, I'll make a motion, that we approve the plan as drawn.
Yes, I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
A lot easier than the other one,
So put me down as abstaining, because I'm not sure if I am a butter or not,
Okay,
so
so,
I don't wanna screw it all up on them.
I have recused. Does that mess it up? I've recused myself.
So we got 3,
Okay,
that's all we need, right?
Yeah.
I think that's all right, that's fine, I mean, it's, you know, it has to be done,
Has
so.
to be done, eh?
Yeah.
It's not like we're gonna have a lot of discussion or debate
Right.
about it, you know?
right,
Right, perfect.
perfect.
Well, thank you very
Thanks
much.
for coming
No
by.
problem.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
What was your name? I didn't catch it.
Ryan Goffin.
What was the last name?
Goffin,
Go, okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Do you have did you make the motion to close the public hearing?
Well.
I'll make a motion.
Do you guys mind waiting just a second? I can go get you those minutes off the printer.
Okay. Sure.
Talk about,
The ever-ready bunny who's gonna run over and get the new minutes. Excellent.
All in
yes,
favor?
yes, yes, yes.
Aye.
Run fast. She is an Energizer bunny.
Yeah.
Run.
Well, they may have been a little long-winded, but I think they got their point across and understood it.
I thought it was down the other end of the road. I thought it was at the very end.
It's
I
too
thought
big.
it was that other stream down there.
No.
It's the very start.
Yeah.
That's
I
why you
would-
kept saying,
That's
you're
why
not
I
in the
kept
butter.
saying you're not in the butter.
I was not happy for the people that were moving in, the 2 houses that were built there. I wasn't concerned with the neighbors. I
Right.
figure these people are gonna have problems with water.
Well, they
over
don't
the
like
years.
them pumping,
Right.
pumping
Yeah,
down
he
the
was-
road.
Road, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Clem
I
has
guess-
a, has a pond there, it's like,
Yeah, they
it's
got a
two
nice
ponds.
pond.
I didn't see the stream in back in that little bit of wetland being anywhere near the problem than what the road runoff is there. I mean, it just comes from all directions, and like I said, I could see 5 years of little saplings up to 4 and 5 foot tall. I mean, I could see the evolution that this has been happening for years,
right,
you know, but
there's a cow there's a little pasture in there.
Yeah, I was thinking it was this house,
Sorry about that, everyone.
which is a newer house.
yeah, no.
And that's what I was thinking, it was that one, because there's a stream down through here.
No, it's right, yeah, well, the stream is in back of his, actually goes in back of his
Yeah,
house.
and this house here goes behind, but in that
Well,
one,
this it does too, goes
yeah,
behind.
this is, let's see, Mayo, yeah, so he's right,
I guess,
he's right there.
we should have, Mark Popman should have clarified perhaps the location, you know, get a better overview of what we're doing, Rich.
Yeah.
So that,
Cause I was thinking it was down the other end.
right, cause we didn't, maybe we weren't all focused, cause Brian and I went out, Tony went out early, but not everyone else went out.
Right.
So, that's a problem, so maybe what we should think of in terms of an overview of where are we and what's the problem, what are they
Yeah.
trying to do, that sort of thing. We should quiz them if they don't come forward with that right away. Anyway, this, yeah, it's kinda tough.
Did Mrs. Morgan move her cabana?
Oh, that's the old ones, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, let's go, we can look at this new one,
Did you get the new one, Tony?
Yep, they're right here, Tony.
Yeah.
These are the new ones.
Oh.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
give me
the
those.
old-
Oh, that's
The new
Give
one's
me
not
all of
stapled
those.
together. The new ones don't rate to get stapled.
So sorry about that, guys.
Cutbacks.
Here the old ones.
Thank you.
You will.
They started working over there at the tower, huh?
yeah.
Hauling material in there.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
I just noticed one thing, under the 4 Mayo Road, RDA instead of RDF.
Thank you. I've
Very minor.
heard it called it both, and I don't know if maybe at one point sometime
Yeah,
it
was it
was RDA and now it's RDF. So that, but I will fix that. Thank you. Yes, I will fix that. My computer just cut me out.
Okay. Any other changes? Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes as written by Tricia?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Alright, onward.
Onward.
Can we, let's see.
So is Birch's Road, is that all done, or?
You know, he was standing right here,
I
and
know.
I was thinking, don't leave.
Oh, yes, that's true.
That's his too.
Because we haven't-
Don't leave.
I
We
don't
have
think there's any
questions.
update, right?
No, there's no update.
There's no update, and again, this can sit on our agenda for 2 years, and then it falls off, and then they have to reapply for it.
So, you know, a comment from, I think from our last visit when we were over at Josh's, is he mentioned, Mark Papa mentioned that, some questions are being answered to DEP because of the Templeton Brook. It's going on, the client is in Florida. Maybe there's no sense of urgency, hard to say. That's the impression I got, there's no sense of urgency to try to move this along and sell the lots. So, do we hear a motion to continue continue these two?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we continue both of those.
To next month,
Yeah.
we'll put it back on and see what happens. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So I don't, maybe something will happen, or maybe it won't.
Cause I know the homeowner wants it to get it going, because I saw him during, when he was here, when we were working down on, Birch's Road there. And I was talking to him, and he said that they're on hold, but I think Mark was away, I think he was out of the country or something at that time. So a lot of that stuff wasn't getting
Yeah.
done, cause I think he was visiting his daughter over in Germany or Sweden or something like that.
Okay. Any other issues or questions, or?
Could we ask for an update for next month?
I can ask for an update for next month.
Yeah, that would be good. You could just send it to what's happening, what's the schedule look like for that continuation.
I do have a public comment here, that was brought up to me, just today. And then you did have your one thing added to the agenda as well, and that, so a resident at 4 Cheyenne Drive in Hubbardston said, I noticed a lot on Bemis Road being cleared on March 3rd, 2024. It is the only one at this time. Are you aware that it is near a certified vernal pool? Just want to make sure all necessary precautions are being followed to preserve this precious resource. So I don't necessarily know. I can double check with Duffy to see if this was, they're clearing because they're putting in a row, a house or a driveway or something, or this is someone's on their property, they're clearing
Where was it?
trees. It said Bemis Road, and it's the only lot at this time. She didn't specify if there's like one of those orange permits right on the front tree or anything like that, so.
Cause, I mean, I was just down Bemis not too long ago, and I didn't see anything.
They said March 3rd, so this was literally 2 days ago that they were out there clearing, so. I don't know if you want me to double check with Duffy to make sure.
Unless it's Carlson's land.
Yeah, I mean.
He cleared around the edge of his fields or something that he had.
Right, well, that's all opened up.
He took a bunch of trees down over along the edge there.
Oh, he did? Yeah. I don't know anything, we don't know where it is, so.
Right.
I mean, it could be something innocuous, or it could be something clear cutting and dumping, like we've had in the past. Tony and I looked at ones they were dropping the trees in the swamp, you know, on Bemis Road, you know. So it could be, yeah, we'd have to find out where it is. If you wanted to, if you could dig into it a little bit and let us know,
Yep,
we'll go
of
have
course.
a look.
Of course, and then you asked for,
The CPC, here's this, something to bring up for, you to think about the CPC, the, Community Preservation
committee,
Council Committee,
committee.
cacophony, whatever the Community Preservation, group, committee is made up of people, many boards. One of them is the Concom, and they would, to make a quorum and make decisions, they would like to have a person, they won't wanna have a person from the Concom on it. That's part of the charter, is to have a Concom member on the CPC to make these decisions. The general flow of the work is from the late year, from December through April, they get applications for things of historical value or conservation values, or, you know, open space, whatever. Those people apply for money, and they have a application process that has to be reviewed by the group, which should include the Conservation Commission. So we're offering that opportunity to all of us, to participate in that.
I've already done that.
I think I would put a positive spin on that.
I'll decline.
Okay, so I'm just bringing this up,
We
so.
nominate Rick Green.
I don't want you to go on.
They don't meet that often.
No.
We meet enough.
So I talked to Francois Steiger. He called, he's suggesting, or he's imploring us to get a member on this committee. I know it's been ongoing for the last 5 years probably, or that we need to have a member. So Tony, you into that?
Yeah, I did it.
How was it?
Kayla did it, didn't
Yeah.
I mean, it's a worth, you
Kayla
know.
did it.
Kayla did it?
Yeah,
Yes, she
Kayla
did,
did it.
yeah.
She was the last one.
Oh, you have done it?
No, Kayla did it.
Oh.
Wait a minute, he took Kayla's place.
I can't do it. I definitely can't do it.
They only, how many times a year do they meet?
I don't know.
I think it's only
Ever
like
since you met
7
Kayla, now we
times.
I
can say
can't
no.
do it. Sorry, y'all. I'm out. I can't do it. That's not in my pay grade. Sorry.
Right, you're not a Concom
Nope.
member anyway. I mean, you are, but in heart, but not really. So the person who does that either, would be either Rich Tomarai, possibly, would have to get sworn in and do that. There's a meeting tonight, as a matter of fact. Right now.
So you can go over right now.
There's a meeting tonight. But
Get sworn in.
We're excused tonight because of our prior engagement. So if anyone's interested, just let me know, and I will get back to the group. I'll leave it like that.
Okay, that sounded
I
very
don't
good.
feel a burning desire.
We're just happy you come to the meetings at all, Tony.
I'm happy I came too.
So we wouldn't wanna,
Well, we cleaned up some of the mess in front of the house.
I was at Disney World last, the meeting I missed, that's why I missed. Nothing else would keep me away.
I always feel like we're in Disney World when I come uptown here. Anyway, did you go to Disney World? No.
Mhm.
You have?
I've been to Disney World every year since I was 6 months old.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, good for you.
But we stopped for a while because we had the kids, and my husband's not a big Disney guy, even though that's where we went on our honeymoon.
Me too, I'm a big Disney guy.
Even though that's where we went on our honeymoon, but I love Disney. I actually got the Disney internship when I was in college, and so Disney's away from home.
All I found it was a way for me to spend $10,000 in 6 days.
It's not cheap.
I don't like to spend 10,000 in 6 years.
$650 a day for our housing while we were there.
How many?
$650 a day, $650 a day. $157 a day a piece to get in the park. We drove down, so any place we stayed on the drive, we took 3 days going down each way, but it was like $125 a night, $150 a night, depending. By the time we were through 6 days, $10,000 worth. I was lighter. So, and my wife wants to go again.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, it ain't gonna happen. If it does, she's going alone.
Wants to go again?
Say, I'll give you the $5 grand.
Oh,
and you can
oh,
go.
yeah, well, she says, I know we did some things wrong, she says, but we'll
Yeah,
take
like
care of it,
what?
we'll do, well, we rented scooters. Cause I mean, you know, 85 years old, I can't walk around that park all day. But what we didn't realize is, we stayed in what they call the wilderness, because I was gonna take the dogs with us in the beginning, and that was the only area you could have dogs. Well, from the wilderness to get to the park, we had to take 2 buses.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this meant we had to get in the morning, drive our little scooters to the bus stop, which is like a quarter of a mile or so. Then you had to load the buses. The bus could only take 2 scooters. They had to take up seats to special areas. So you were like an extra 20 minutes loading, unloading, Then you had to get the second bus, wait for that, load, unload. So by the time we got in the park every day,
It's time for a nap.
it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of the day was gone. Then, of course, we made the mistake of making reservations for all the good restaurants while we were there. No, just when you like one meal in the steakhouse, 2 of us.
Oh, you went to the Canadian Steakhouse, no pot.
That's right, $450.
Whoa,
About 2 of us, but it was a nice bottle of wine.
$450.
$450. So we get out of the steakhouse, it's 11 o'clock at night when we get out of the steakhouse. That was our reservation, was that late. Get on my little scooter, oh, it's dead because it's been pouring all day. My scooter won't move. So I end up having to walk out of the park, like, half a mile out of the park to a bus. And again, the loading procedure and the whole thing. The circuit kept blowing at our place when I was charging the scooters. When we first got the scooters the first day, the 2 scooters we got wouldn't come up to charge. So had a call. By the time we got them replaced, they wouldn't bring them they brought them to an area that you had to get to. So my wife had to drive me down, I'd drive one scooter back. So we just did a lot of
Sounds like a
things.
nightmare.
So ask me about Disney World, the happiest place on earth.
Did you work down there in the park?
I got all the way through, and I was told by 2 very governing authorities that I was not allowed to go because it is very hard to control your 19-year-old, 20-year-old daughter when she's living down in Florida at Disney World. So the answer was, congratulations, but no. So I didn't. I was all set. I got through the casting call, and I was going to be a character. Give you one guess. Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell. They take only girls of certain height and weight to be certain characters because they don't want to change the costume every time. So, yeah.
And then I went on the ride Guardian of the Galaxy.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Oh my God, they shouldn't allow old people. I mean, I got off of that thing, there was a garbage can, I call it a puke bucket right out there. I mean, I was hugging that thing, I didn't think I was gonna make it up. But, I mean, they shouldn't even have rides like
No
that.
kidding, it's only for 16-year-olds. No.
Unreal, just unreal.
Yeah, my wife and kids went, I didn't go, I was working at the time, I'm like, you guys go.
Those rides are brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those rides are brutal.
But that one is a brutal one. I guess the racetrack is kind of brutal too. The cars go up to like 170 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, test track.
Yeah, the test track, that's right aside
Oh, I love that
of
one.
the Guardian of the Galaxy. They're right close together. They keep an ambulance close by.
My son went last summer with the kids. He took all 3 kids. He's got an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. And they went. I was like, good luck. They went for 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks.
We have clients that go twice a year, 2 kids, board 2 dogs with us, and I mentioned to her what we had spent. She said, oh, is that all? That was like, and then she told me where she stayed, and she stayed in 2 really nice places, which my wife would like to stay in next
time.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big world out there.
We're going on a 10-day cruise in August to Alaska, and it ain't gonna cost us that much, but that's the flight and everything back and forth.
That cruise to Alaska, we talked with a lot of people that
Yeah.
board the dogs. Some people take that cruise, absolutely love it, think it was the best thing they've ever done in their lives, and other people just say, waste of money. Never should have done it. It's really the old people that say never should have done it. The younger people seem a lot more excited with it.
Most of the people I talked to said it's great.
Yeah,
Said you
I
had a
mean,
great time.
I could never discourage anybody from going because so many people just, wow, but
Well, I'm
others
planning
feel
on-
like I do about Disney World.
I'm planning on going halibut fishing. It's gonna be expensive, but
Yeah, hey, you can't take it with you.
I get 150 pound halibut.
Yeah.
Is there
That big.
a motion to adjourn the meeting, by the way?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought we already did that.
Second, all in favor?
I was going to.
I was gonna say, a lot of this on tape, probably